Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. Well, what we have here is Trump actually doing a godsend, not only to just gaming, but he's doing a godsend to pretty much every chance of banks wanting to debank you. So this has been great. This has been a really good move, and we're gonna go over a few things that some of these articles are just claiming that are just absolutely false and stupid. And even if they're trying to threaten, oh, well, they're just not going to do debanking or whatever, it goes down further than that, right? Because you have to prepare to see what's been going on, because this has been going on through the country for a while. And, oh, by the way, Windows 11 sucks, it's garbage, and Microsoft needs to fix it, because it's terrible. I guess I installed it, literally today, and it's awful. Awful. Anyways, let's get directly into this. So, we have this here, from the White House, where it says, guaranteeing banking for all Americans. Now, what this is pretty much, making sure that banks can't remove you for political or religious reasons. By the authority vested in me as President by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered, Section 1 purpose. Financial institutions have engaged in unacceptable practices to restrict law-abiding individuals and businesses access to financial services on the basis of political or religious beliefs or lawful business activities. Some financial institutions participated in government-directed surveillance programs targeting persons participating in activities and causes commonly associated with conservatism and the political right following the events that occurred at or near the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. The federal government suggested that if such institutions flag individuals who made transactions related to the companies like Cabela's and Bass Pro Shops, or who made peer-to-peer payments that involved terms like Trump or MAGA, even though there was no specific evidence tying those individuals to criminal conduct. Now, what Trump is saying here, and what the White House is specifically saying, is listen, we know that banks targeted conservatives in the past, and they'll do it again. We're trying to stop this from happening again, because we want people to have all fair banking when it comes down to the left or the right. It doesn't really matter. Bank regulators have used supervisory scrutiny and other influence over regular banks to direct or otherwise encourage politicized or unlawful debanking activities. So we have that. So we have this. So we're going to go into what these results are, right? Because these are kind of the more important things that we had to go over. So it says here that the Section 2 policy, it is the policy of the United States that no American should be denied access to financial services because of their constitutionally or statutorily protected beliefs, affiliations, or political views, and to ensure that politicized or unlawful debanking is not used as a tool to inhibit such beliefs, affiliations, or political views. Banking decisions must instead be made on the basis of individualized, objective, and risk-based analysis. Definitions. The term politicized or unlawful debanking refers to an act by a bank or savings associations, created union, or other financial services provider to directly or indirectly adversely restrict access to or adversely modify the conditions of accounts, loans, or other banking products or financial services of any customer or potential customer on the basis of the customer's or potential customer's political or religious beliefs, or on the basis of customers or potential customers' lawful business activities that the financial service provider disagree with or disfavors for political reasons. The term federal banking regulators refers to the Small Business Administration and the federal member agency of the Financial Stability Oversight Council with supervisory and regulatory authority banks, savings associations, or credit unions. So, this is what we have here, right? So, again, what he's doing here is that we'll go over to what they're granting here. It says, nothing in this order shall be construed to impair or otherwise affect the authority granted by law to an executive department or agency or the head thereof, or the functions of director of the office management and budget relating to budgetary, administrative, or legislative proposals. This order shall be implemented consistent with applicable law and subject to the availability of appropriations. So what they're saying here is that you're not essentially going to be allowed to discriminate against political and other reasons. Why here, right? So that's what we have. Now, we'll go a little bit over this a little bit, tiny bit later, but it says here that Trump claims banks discriminate against conservatives through debanking. Here's what that means. This is from CBS News, so obviously you'd have to be wary of what they're saying here. It says President Trump on Tuesday claimed that major banks are discriminating against conservatives, including him, through the act of debanking, or when financial institutions refuse to work with some individuals or businesses to or abruptly close clients' accounts. Mr. Trump made the comment in an interview with CNBC on Tuesday after he was asked about a report by the Wall Street Journal that said he would soon sign an executive order aimed at stamping out debanking. Mr. Trump claimed that J.P. Morgan Chase gave him 20 days to close his account. Although he didn't specify when this occurred or what reason he was given by the bank for doing so, he also claimed that Bank of America refused his business after he left J.P. Morgan. The issue of debanking has become a sticking point for some conservatives who claim that they've been unfairly targeted by financial institutions. Debanking can occur for a number of reasons, such as if a financial institution detects potentially fraudulent activity or the account owner is overdrawn. But some conservatives claim they have been rejected due to their political views. They discriminate against many conservatives, the president told CNBC. Bank of America, Brian rejected such allegations of bias against conservatives in a recent interview on CBS News. Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan that took place ahead of Mr. Trump's comments on CNBC, pointed to the nation's second largest bank's massive customer base has evidence of its diverse clientele. He also emphasized the impact of federal regulations in addition to concerns over legal and financial risk on debanking decisions. We have 70 million consumers. We're the biggest small business lender. That's not the issue they're focused on, is the regulators' impact on this industry. And you heard Senator Scott talk about this week. The risk reputation of this after the fact. Look, that you banked X, and now after the fact, you're going to say X didn't turn out to be what you thought. The CEO told Margaret Brennan, so we look at it based on risk. People may feel those decisions are made for some other reason, but we'll always make it on what's best for our company and what's best for our client. Well, again, that's not true here, because you have Canada here where they have debanked their people here. So, as in February 2022, during the Canada Convoy protest, Canadian authorities, including the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, froze the financial assets of individuals and companies believed to be involved in the protests. This action was part of the government's response to the ongoing blockades of border crossings and the occupation of Ottawa. So, again, this is the fear that we have here. Because when you have a government go and say, oh, we're going to freeze your assets, that's insane. That's literally insane. That is complete government overreach. And again, we have this here. J.P. Morgan and Bank of America debanked Trump under pressure from Biden admin over January 6th. It says here that J.P. Morgan and Bank of America debanked President Trump for his role in January 6th Capitol Hill melee, following pressure from the Biden administration's debanking regulators and the Federal Reserve. People with direct knowledge of the matter tell the Post. The exact reason for Trump and his 6 million followers has yet to be reported. But again, what about Fuentes, right? Fuentes, who that was being debanked, right? I'm pretty sure this is what happened. So, can this please load? So yeah, we have New Victim is just the latest white supremacist embraced by defenders of Texas liberty. I'm not even going to say that I even support Nick Fuentes about this, right? Because that's something that that needs to go. Maybe it's not going to say it on here, so we'll have to go on to Twitter to talk about to look at this.
You like?
So yeah, so you have this here from January 6th, despite being banned from DLive, payment processors, and social media, as well as being placed on federal no-fly list, having 500K plus in bank funds frozen, paying 100K in legal fees. So yeah, this was on January 6th of 2025. So he has been debanked by payment processors. Now, whether it is from Bank of America or JP Morgan, etc., that is a problem, right? That is a thing here. But again, when you have these things being debanked, this is an issue. Now, again, I don't support Nick Fuentes on what he says or what he does. I think it's insane. But again, what I have the issue that I have with here is that this is debanking. This is happening, and this should not be happening whatsoever. And it says, it turns out Steam's adult content ban has been plotted for a year and is superheaded by one of Project 2025's leading voices. So, yeah, again, this is what the gamer is saying, right? That it's Project 2025. Yet again, this is not what's going on here, because Trump has already done the debanking thing, where he won't allow this to happen. And of course, you have how anti-porn lobby on payment processors censors thousands of video games. So again, this is something that is going on in the gaming world, right? And this is a complete fallacy. So again, when we go and look at this stuff, right? It says, even we'll go with this here, within 180 days of the date of this order, each appropriate federal banking regulator shall, to the greatest extent permitted by law, remove the use of reputation risk or equivalent concepts that could result in politicized or unlawful debanking, as well as many other considerations that could be used to engage in such debanking, from their guidance, documents, manuals, and other materials, other than existing regulations or other material requiring notice and comment rulemaking used to regulate or examine financial institutions over which they have jurisdiction. The removal of such concepts should be made clear by each appropriate federal banking regulator through formal guidance to their examiners. The federal banking regulators shall also consider rescinding or amending existing regulations consistent with applicable law to eliminate or amend any regulations that could result in politicized or unlawful debanking, to ensure that any regulated firm's or individual's reputation is considered for regulatory, supervisory, banking, or enforcement purposes solely to the extent necessary to reach a reasonable and applicable risk-based assessment. So, it says here, within 120 days of the date of this order, make reasonable efforts to identify and reinstate any previous clients of the institution or any subsidiaries denied service through a politicized or unlawful debanking action in a violation of statutory or regulatory requirement under Section 7 of the Small Business, or any requirement in a standard operating procedures manual or policy notice related to a program or the function of the Office of Capital Access with notice of the reinstatement sent to the victim. So again, this is huge. This is really, really big, because this means that you cannot just debank somebody of political reasons, right? And that's the important thing that we have to go over here. This is a massive win for gaming as well, because this is what they were trying to do, and Collective Shout was trying to do, and this shuts them down. This immediately shuts them down completely, and this is something that you have to go over and be based off. Now, this is not an actual complete law. This is an executive order. So what they need to do is make this an actual law. Because once they make this an actual law, it's written in stone. It's much, much, much harder to actually get rid of. So this means it'll be an actual law, but right now it's an executive order. So we'll see on what happens here. But this is a great first step of this going on, because now banks can't just remove people for political reasons. This is stabbing in the bud now before it gets worse. And it's always great to be prepared ahead of time. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care, my friends.